Here we are, folks. It's the 4th of March and I've made it from Sydney Airport into Bali. We landed here in Denpasar and then I had to come to my quarantine hotel, which is in Kuta. And so that's where I am right now. Let me give you a rundown on what I had to do to get into Bali from Sydney. So here I am, folks. I'm here at the Sydney International Airport. I'm through customs and I'm through the check-in. Things I had to do. Okay, it was a little bit tricky there for a little bit. First thing you've got to do is get your PCR test. Takes about 90 minutes. Cost me Australian $79. With the PCR test hard copy, then I had to go to the check-in to get my ticket. They also wanted to see my visa into Indonesia. I had a hard copy of that. My vaccination certificate from here in Australia with the 3 jabs, they wanted to see that. My quarantine hotel in Bali, they wanted to see that. And of course the PCR hard copy, and they had a look at that and they typed it into the computer. And about 15 minutes later I was let loose here into the international terminal. It's still the same. You have to line up like cattle at a cattle station there when you they check everything from you and through customs. So that still happens. It did take a little bit of time. It took about 30 minutes to get through. They checked all my bags and they checked everything. So nothing's changed there. Now I'm in the international airport waiting for my 11:30 flight to depart to go to Denpasar. So that's where I am so far. Give me a few hours, 6 hours I think is my flight time from Sydney. I'll land in Bali, do another recording so I can broadcast this show for you so you can see what I had to do to get out of Australia to get into Indonesia, Bali, Denpasar. Here I am, folks, on the plane from Sydney to Denpasar, 4th of March. Well, here I am, folks. I don't want to bore you too much with lots of pictures and things because I'm sure when you start coming into Bali you'll take all your own pictures and things, so I won't need to bore you with mine. But listen, the process was actually not that difficult. Please make sure that you do your PCR test when you get into Sydney Airport. Do it as quick as you can, because when you do arrive at your desk they will ask for a hard copy. They will also ask you for a couple of other documentations as well. They'll want that PCR hard copy. They'll also want your visa. Make sure that you have a visa to get in there. They want to cite that. Your COVID certificate. They'll want to make sure that you have that COVID certificate with the 3 jabs like I've got. And also, for me, on this particular trip, I had to show them documentation on where I was going to stay, which quarantine hotel, approved quarantine hotel that I was going to stay at. They wanted to see that. Now, in saying all that, that's now just about finished. I'm one of the last ones to do that. Come next week, you won't have to do quarantine. No, you don't. That is no longer And also, you won't need to apply for a visa because the tourist visa starts to come into effect. And that's all starting for next week. It was going to be the 14th of March, but now they've brought it back a bit, so it's closer. I just missed out by that much, a couple of days, but I bought this 2 weeks ago. The other thing that you really will have to make sure that you have when you do land in Indonesia is this one. If you're coming from Australia, you will need the International COVID-19 Vaccination Certificate. They did ask for that. I didn't have it. So I had to be kindly escorted with a policeman and an army dude, and we had to go to a photocopier machine. I'm a dumbass, I don't know how to work all that stuff, so it took me a bit of time to get it to talk to the printer so I could print that out. And then I took it to the lady, she scanned it, nodded her head, and I was off to the next desk. The other thing too that they're they really need you to do before you leave is the eHack app. You need to download that before you come into Indonesia. It's a lot easier because when I got to the airport in Denpasar, my phone wouldn't work. I couldn't get it onto the Wi-Fi, wouldn't work, so I had to shut it down, let it wait for a couple of minutes and turn it all on again, and then it finally worked. Now, from there on, everything will be put on and scanned into your eHack. You're gonna get a QR code, and everything you do from there on, about 4 times I had to scan my eHack. They needed to scan that Q code, and it tells them that you've been to the airport, they've checked all your documentation. When you do your first PCR test coming out of the airport, the nurse there, she scanned that Q code of mine, and it tells them I've done that. When I came into the hotel here, I had to scan it again. That lets them know that I'm now here at the hospital. They came in, nice nurse and a policeman came in this morning, and they gave me a little check to make sure that I was here, and also they made sure that that I was okay, which I was. And they tell me that tomorrow, being my 3rd day tomorrow, because I only had to stay here 2 nights, I'll get my PCR test, and then they will Q code that again. I will wait for the result. As soon as my result comes back negative, I can go. I can hit Bali up in a big way. But remember, this is not what's going to happen to you from now on, because the whole system's changing yet again. One huge big step forward that everyone's been waiting for. No quarantine. No quarantine, and tourist visa will be available. No more agents to set it up for you. The quarantine one, you still will need to be vaccinated to come into Indonesia. There is no provisions for non-vaccinated people at this stage. Nothing's been talked about that. So yes, you will need to be vaccinated to come into Indonesia. I hope this has helped you. Thanks very much for watching. I'm the Aussie Traveller. Catch you next time.